You know that feeling when you're staring at your code and it's so interconnected that you're afraid to touch anything? Like one wrong move and the whole thing just collapses. Well, today we're going to talk about the Observer design pattern. It's an awesome way to untangle that mess and build software that's clean, flexible, and just better.
So let me ask you this. Is your code needy? I'm serious. Have you ever written an object that's just constantly bugging another one for updates? Like, hey, got anything new? How about now? Now? It's where everything is so tightly linked that changing one tiny thing feels like performing open heart surgery. If that sounds familiar, don't worry. You just hit on a super common problem in software design.
All right, so the official name for this problem we're trying to solve is tight coupling. And really, all that means is that your objects are way too dependent on each other. They know too much about one another, and that creates this really rigid, fragile structure that's just waiting to break.
Honestly, the best way to picture it is like a tangled mess of old headphone wires, you know? You pull on one end and suddenly you're yanking 3 other parts you didn't even mean to touch. That's exactly what happens in your code. A simple change in one class forces you to go on this frustrating hunt to find and modify a bunch of others. It's an absolute recipe for bugs and a total maintenance nightmare.
Okay, let's bring this into the real world. Imagine a customer who is dying to get their hands on a new product. Without a smart system in place, what do? They have to keep checking in, right? Is it here yet? How about now? It's annoying for them. And on the other side, the store is just guessing. Maybe they send out a massive email blast to everyone hoping to hit the right person. It's just a huge waste of time and energy for everybody. So, how do we fix this whole mess? Well, the solution is actually beautifully simple, and it's something you're already totally familiar with. Just think about any subscription service, like a magazine or your favorite email newsletter. The logic is just so much smarter, right? First, you just raise your hand and say, hey, count me in. That's it. That's your subscription. After that, you can completely forget about it and go on with your life. When the publisher actually has something new, they're the ones who do the work. They send it to you. The burden of constantly checking is completely lifted from your shoulders. And this right here, this is the key. This is the whole magic trick. The magazine publisher doesn't need to know your life story. They don't care about your job, your hobbies, nothing. All they need is one thing, an address to send the update to. It's this one way, don't call us, we'll call you relationship that is the absolute secret sauce. And in our world, we call this being decoupled.
Okay, so let's take this super elegant real-world idea and translate it into our code. This is exactly what the Observer design pattern is all about. It's literally the software version of that magazine subscription we just talked about.
So what's the official textbook definition? Well, the Observer pattern is a behavioral design pattern that lets you set up a subscription system right in your code. At its core, it's about one object, the publisher, keeping a list of other objects, the subscribers. And whenever something interesting happens to the publisher, it automatically tells everyone on its list. Let's make this connection super clear. The magazine publisher from our story, in the pattern we call that the publisher, or sometimes you'll hear it called the subject. And you, the person getting the magazine, you're the subscriber, or as it's more commonly known, the observer. The names are a little different, but the jobs they do are exactly the same.
So how do you actually build one of these? Well, it's basically a 4-step recipe. First, you define your interfaces. Think of these as contracts. They make sure the publisher and subscribers know how to talk to each other without needing to know all the messy details. Second, you create your concrete publisher. Its main job is simple. Manage a list of subscribers and let them know when something happens. Third, you create your concrete subscribers. Each one of these will have its own special logic for what to do when it gets an update. And finally, the client code comes in and plays matchmaker. It's the part of your app that tells the publisher which subscribers are interested in hearing from it.
Now look, this pattern is incredibly powerful, but, and this is a big but, it's not a silver bullet. It's not the right tool for every single job. Just like any big design choice, it comes with its own set of trade-offs. So let's get real and take a look at both the pros and the cons.
Okay, the upsides here are pretty huge. The biggest one is flexibility. You can add totally new kinds of subscribers later on, like say a new logging system or a new UI element, without ever having to go back and change the publisher's code. This is a perfect example of the open/closed principle in action, which basically says your code should be open to being extended, but closed to being modified. It's a key ingredient for building stable, scalable software. Plus, because they're so loosely coupled, you can add or remove subscribers on the fly while the program is actually running.
All right, but on the flip side, there are definitely some things you got to watch out for. For one, you have absolutely no guarantee about the order your subscribers will be notified in, so don't ever build logic that depends on subscriber A getting a message before subscriber B. And this next one is the big one. You have to be really disciplined about cleanup. When a subscriber is done listening, you must explicitly unsubscribe it. If you forget, you can create these nasty memory leaks that are a real pain to track down.
Okay, so keeping all that in mind, the good and the bad, when is the perfect time to actually use this pattern? What are the scenarios where you should reach for it?
You'll want to use the observer pattern anytime a change in one object needs to trigger updates in a bunch of other objects, especially when you don't know exactly what those other objects are or even how many of them there might be. Think about it, it's perfect for things like UI components that need to react when the underlying data changes, or social media feeds, stock market tickers that have to update multiple charts all at once. Those are classic use cases.
So if you only remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. The observer pattern is your absolute best friend for creating loose coupling. It's the tool you use to turn that tangled, messy web of dependencies into a clean, elegant, and predictable notification system.
And that's pretty much the whole shebang. So I'll leave you with a little challenge. Next time you're in your own code base, take a look around. I bet you can find at least one spot where a messy, tangled dependency could be cleaned up with a simple notification system like this. Think about it. Thanks for watching.